Back in 1975, David Cronenberg got started just outside of Montreal at a big high-rise apartment. There's doctors, pools, and so many things, and lavish appliances throughout. But there's one problem they will seek out. It's some slugs that make them nymphos. Big ol' high star liner. Don't carry too far away. Big ol' high star liner. The nympho slugs will take you away. Do 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 do. Cronenberg! I'm John Renton with the retro review of Shivers from 1975. Yeah, I decided to ruin yet another song. I think came out around 1975. I'm not sure. But yes, back in 1975, after toiling away trying to get his visions made, David Cronenberg made this Canadian-based film that basically has to do with a parasite that can help people by turning them horny and violent. That's pretty much the premise right there. I've seen clips of it. I've never actually seen the whole thing. I decided on Halloween to watch this, and you know what? It's something that still holds up pretty well. It's a little streamlined, it is a little simplistic, but it has some good body horror effects, and also features a few beautiful women, such as Barbara Steele, who was in Black Sunday, who I believe was just north of 40 at this point, Susan Petrick, who played Janine, and also Nurse Forsyth, played by Lynn Lowry, who, look, there's some nudity in this. I'm not going to complain about that, at least some of it. But we also have Joe Silver as Rollo. No, not to be confused with the Candy, and also Roger St. Luke, who's played by Paul Hampton. He's pretty much the star of this, probably the biggest name actor at this point. And Alan Kidman's in this. So actually some pretty good talent, and also some body horror effects. Pure Cronenberg madness. I believe that David Cronenberg did not have a normal childhood. If he did, I don't know what the fuck's going on with him. So yes, big old high star liner apartment complex has all the necessities, including this parasite that was created by this doctor that has gone out of control. A parasite that was originally supposed to help, cure diseases and everything, but now has turned people into nymphos. Because, that's what medical science is able to do. There are some scenes that are a little bit questionable, such as the implied assault stuff. So if you have a problem with that, you probably aren't going to care much for this. But also David Cronenberg apparently noticed that David O'Bannon, who wrote Alien, or who had something to do with Alien, kind of took the idea of the creatures for this and made it, took the inspiration and made it, into something with Alien, I guess. I don't exactly see, the full-on, I see the stuff about, the face huggers and everything. That obviously had a much bigger budget. I mean, if you take a look at this, it was a Canadian budget that I imagine even transferred to U.S. dollars probably wouldn't have been that much. And journalist Robert Fulford savaged this damn thing, and because it was partially funded by the National Canadian Film Fund something or other thing, Cronenberg lost his Toronto apartment, so good job, Robert, you fucking idiot. I mean, I think it worked out for David Cronenberg all right. He kept making movies and has continued to make movies. His kids have continued to make movies. Cronenberg has continued to be in shows, movies, and so, fun fact, he was in the beginning of Jason X. I mean, he's in a bunch of other stuff that's actually good, but yeah, this actually is a pretty fun movie overall, so let's just get on into the plot, even though I pretty much spoiled everything right there. So we get a snapshot thing and narration about cruise Starliner and everything. Don't worry. Praise Starliner, we will be okay. We will make sure that all your needs are met. And then a weird doctor starts assaulting a seemingly 19-year-old... I thought it was a 19-year-old boy with the haircut, but no, it's a 19-year-old girl. At least a 19-year-old girl in this movie. I don't know if the actress was actually 19 or 23 or possible. I mean, I would assume of age, given the fact that Canadian law or not, they probably couldn't get away with that shit. I don't know who the hell the actress was. But anyway, yeah, got, Well, while this is going on and we get some other tenants being introduced or potential tenants introduced to this stuff, we just get this old doctor assaulting this person basically in complete silence. I mean, there are grunts and groans and stuff like that, but yeah, okay. Something weird's going on here. And he digs in and burns this stuff and crazy things that are going on, and then eventually he cuts his own throat with a scalpel. So, okay, yeah, that's one way to do it. And the girl's name was Annabelle. It turns out actually she housed some of these weird parasite slug things. Also Nicholas, played by Alan Kidman, who has some issues, some major issues. Issues such as the fact that he has these parasites and he's not doing all that well. This also seems to have every bit of, like, modern convenience. It has like a doctor's office. It has working places. Like, it's all in the same complex, and it's just outside of Montreal. So it's not near Laval, so you don't hear Dino Bravo getting shot. This was also well before Dino Bravo ever got shot. You are confused if you have no idea who Dino Bravo is and you're not a wrestling fan. So this is headed by Dr. Merrick, or Mr. Merrick, that is. Yeah, Nick's not doing all that well. People aren't doing all that well. He does have Susan Petrick as Janine with him, which, I'm sorry, Susan at this point was very lovely, and how dare you, not appreciate her. And Rollo explains about this parasite being invented that can basically help, like, a diseased kidney or a rotted organ or something like that. But yeah, clearly it doesn't do all that much. It just turns people mad. So then, basically, Nicholas ends up going home from work sick, throws up in the goddamn bathtub, and the parasite now is in the drainage system. Hey, we got to see Barbara Steele, who, she's still alive at this point, I believe at 87 or 88. But boy, even into the 70s, she looked great. Nicholas has a bunch of lumps, the lovely sluggy lumps, check them out. And, well, Nick ended up, he's not doing well because he still has slug stuff. He says, you and me are going to be really good friends. As he says to his slug thing. This is kind of like that It's Alive movie with the Basket Case. They did multiple Basket Case movies, by the way. So, kids discover this mail slot, and oh my god, there's a weird slug there. There's an old French couple. They just keep throwing characters at us. Everything's wrapped up pretty conveniently and actually has a pretty haunting ending, I'll say that much. Lynn Lowry, as a nurse here, at one point, she really wants to get with Dr. St. Luke and just start stripping and getting into another outfit. And I'm sorry, I'm hanging up the fucking phone saying, closet, floor, I don't care. We're just doing that because if a woman like that's throwing herself at you, you just want to keep on going. There is a point where Janine is kind of almost pressured by Nicholas to fuck her. And yeah, I don't care if you're married to somebody or not, you don't do that. So, Rollo basically rolls out a bunch of exposition about all this stuff, and yeah, this parasite basically is fucking things up, and the doctor experimented on Annabelle, and all this is going on, and yeah, then people just start getting all kinds of fucked up. That's why he was trying to burn things. I guess you gotta burn them. With acid, with a compound. It looked like it was a fucking ketchup bottle that he was using, but I digress. Barbara Steele was taking a bath, and then the thing went right up, I assume, her steel magnolia, as it were. So yeah, that's it. And then there's a concierge service that gets attacked by an old nympho bitch, is the best way I can describe it. Seriously, she just pulls him into her goddamn room. Things really start to accelerate about halfway through. This is only like an 85, 87 minute movie. And then the old French couple gets attacked by the parasite thing, whatever it is. And so the woman's burned, but she's not infected, at least not yet. And yeah, forcing your wife to sleep, no, you don't do that. Dr. St. Luke, or Roger St. Luke, ends up getting a crowbar at one point and beating up a guy and braining him in a goddamn basement. See, the thing is a lot of this movie, it seems far-fetched, but the way Cronenberg presents it's like, oh, this could really actually happen, as far-fetched as it seems. So, the blood was too red. I did note that. Taking inspiration from Italian movies. Everyone starts going nuts. The phone lines get cut by an unnamed assailant. Seemingly somebody didn't want to pay the expensive Canadian to U.S. phone bills. And, well, we got to go out through the parking garage. But then we get in an accident. Yeah, so that's something that happened. That was kind of funny. And then Barbara, or, well, let's see, what the fuck was her name? Betts, basically. Barbara Steele ends up wanting to make out with Susan Petrick. Not that I was interested in this at all. Would like to see more of that scene. But Rollo rolls on up, and he's way too late. He does end up talking to Nicholas two-door, or single door, and ends up getting attacked by his parasites. Tries to burn him off, but then just all this stuff's just going on. Nick ends up, all crazy because his parasites don't really want to agree with him because they're fucking parasites. And then Forsyth ends up also getting attacked by somebody in a parking garage. While somehow St. Luke manages to shoot the guy without actually causing any issues, and then that's what causes the car issue. Or the car wrecking and stuff like that. So a lot of this stuff's getting kind of jumbled around because it really is a lot, especially at the end. And then Forsyth clearly is nuts. She's clearly possessed by something. And even dying is a form of eroticism and erotic cakes, So all but St. Luke are basically possessed, poisoned, whatever. And he tries to run away after seeing Barbara Steele and Susan Petrick and I believe the nurse also in the pool. I'm sorry, I'm giving in to temptation there. I don't care. But that being said, he tries to run away I thought he was running up a goddamn, big old bush fence. No, it was a hill. It was actually a pretty decent shot. And all the people are suddenly there over the hill. Just whatever. I don't know why they're there. But they chase him back into the pool. Somebody pushes him in there. And then the nurse basically gives him whatever the brain thing is or the parasite slug is. And there we go. Now they leave and they're going to go infect everybody else while a news report says that shit be fucked, yo. Shit be fucked. So yeah, there you go. That is David Cronenberg's first full-length feature. Fun fact, he actually did a 63-minute version of Crimes of the Future a few years before this. At least it was shorter than the other one, I'll say that much, which I didn't really necessarily care for. This, however, Shivers gets a recommendation, that is, in English. Not his best, but still pretty good. So agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritland. Until we avoid a nymphomaniac slug again, happy trails to you.